John Felt here, and this is a Blue Water Outlook weekly weather briefing for October 6, 2024. As I've been mentioning the last couple weeks, sort of the theme is that this time of year, harvest season can be very quiet across the nation, one of the more quiet times, except if we get a tropical system, and Helene was definitely an example of that. Looks like this week it is going to be another situation where most of the country is very quiet, but we are going to have a hurricane make landfall with some potentially serious impacts. Let's get started in today's briefing. Well, first off, the heat really continues across parts of the southwest U.S., including California and parts of Arizona. Phoenix has been above 100 all summer long, just about, with a very slight exception. And it looks like about another 5 days of 100 degrees before temperatures finally return closer to normal. Now, last week was pretty quiet. Very little rain over most of the nation. And we did have some rain in the mid-Atlantic region. But other than that, really quiet. And temperatures were quite warm as well, not just in the southwest U.S., where temperatures were 10 to 15 degrees above normal, but most of the nation experienced some degree of above normal readings. And some areas were really hot. Take a look at that area in brown here. That's 90 degrees or more, red being 100 degrees or more, and that sort of pinkish shade 110 or greater. So still quite a bit of summer-like temperatures around. And there's also a little bit of moisture as well. We have dew points in the 60s into the parts of the Midwest and covering most of the south central and southeast U.S. Okay, so right now what we have is a very fast-moving system zipping across the upper Midwest and Great Lakes region, and that will produce a few thunderstorms, and some of them could be severe. Other than that, a large area of high pressure, and that is really going to be the feature that dominates our weather this week, with the exception of the hurricane. So what we have here is this large area of high pressure on Thursday. This is the Hurricane Milton that'll be affecting the Florida Peninsula. It's already passed by that time. And before I get to the hurricane, let's talk about rivers. And one of the things I want to mention is that Helene brought some heavy rain to parts of Florida. So you can see rivers are already running pretty high. It's minor flooding in orange, moderate in red, and even some major flooding. These rivers don't go down fast. They stay up, and then they stay up for a long time, most of the rivers. So what we have here is pre-existing conditions. We do have wet soils, although it's a specific type of sandy soil in most of Florida. And we also have rivers starting off on the high side. Now, as far as river transportation during the harvest season, Helene put a bump in the flow right here. And you can see right here, this is at Memphis. Take a look at this bump here that we have, and now it's starting to go down. And about 10 days, we're back down to where we started on a low flow. So with a very quiet pattern, we got a welcome reprieve. Hopefully we increased the barge traffic and got caught up to some degree, but it looks like we're going right back down into a low flow situation. Okay, so let's talk about temperature and then rainfall. First of all, temperature. Here we go, and you can see most of the nation some degree above normal. And the next 10 days, especially the western and parts of the plains, western U.S., parts of the plains well above normal, 10 to 15 degrees above normal. As far as precipitation, well, we have a number of hurricanes and tropical storms and systems we're looking at in the Atlantic Basin. It's actually quite active right now with three named storms, Kirk, Leslie, and Milton. Milton will be the storm that we'll be watching this week. It's moving over very warm water of the Gulf, and you can see it becomes a major hurricane as it intensifies rapidly over the next 24 and 48 hours, making landfall somewhere in Florida, the west coast, most likely sort of the central area here, but the cone goes all the way from here down to here. So there's still a bit of uncertainty. That'll tighten up over the next day or so. But winds could reach the Florida coast, tropical storm force winds, as early as Tuesday night. And it looks like from a rain perspective, Florida is going to get soaked, the peninsula, with inches of rain, and that's going to result in urban flooding, flash flooding, and pretty widespread inundation, as well as main stem river flooding, especially over areas in central and northern parts of the state where they have those type of rivers. Okay, let's look a little bit further out here. You can see week 2, weeks 3, and weeks 4. I think we're going to continue above normal, a warm and dry period. So for harvest operations, it looks great. If you need rain, like many of us, it looks pretty quiet. As a matter of fact, this week I want to talk a little bit about La Nina, and I want to talk about the drought, because I do think drought will be expanding. But all eyes will be on Milton this week. It looks like an inland moving tropical storm moving across the Florida peninsula. That's this week's briefing. Take care.